Hi, we're here exploring the monuments of San Francisco to see whose stories they tell, whose stories they don't tell, and what that says about us. There are a lot of monuments in San Francisco to powerful people, to kings, to rich men, to generals. I'm not any of those things. I'm a worker and a union member. There are almost no monuments in San Francisco that tell our stories. I'm here at Steuart and Mission Streets, the site of one of the most important events in San Francisco history that you've never heard of, Bloody Thursday. I'm exploring a monument that does tell our stories. Bloody Thursday happened in 1934. This sculpture was erected 50 years later in 1984 and has 3 panels that depict the most important events from that episode, including the titular killing of 2 men, Howard Sperry and Nicholas Bourgeois. So why were these 2 men killed by San Francisco police? Well, they were participating in a series of strikes that were occurring along the San Francisco waterfront. In those days, the docks along this area were central in offloading cargo from ships around the world and transporting it by rail to the rest of the United States. The workers who worked on those docks offloading the cargo had been trying to organize a union for many years, and they had been on strike since May. Their demands were things like workplace safety, improved pay, and a closed union shop, which means everyone that worked on the docks would be part of the same union, a key way a union can have power. The people who opposed the workers were the bosses, the wealthy elite, and Mayor Rossi, who was sympathetic to the Italian Fascist Party and actually had a picture of Mussolini in his office. He vowed to run the communist agitators out of San Francisco.
I must insist, first, that law and order shall prevail.
The strike began in May and stretched into July. Tensions were rising. At this intersection here, a crowd of workers were blockading any cargo offloaded from the ships from going onto trains and being transported to the rest of the country. A group of police fired tear gas into the crowd. The workers are angered and throw things back. And then things explode when the SFPD fires shotguns into the crowd, killing the 2 men and injuring a 3rd. This provoked outrage and sympathy for the workers from a broad section of the city's population.
We are asking for a general strike to keep organized labor on the Pacific Coast. We are not only asking for it, but we're going to get it.
The entire city shut down. Nightclubs were closed. Truck drivers stopped working. Other unionized workers didn't go to work. And small businesses closed their doors in support. Violent confrontations continued on and off. Police and National Guard reprisals against protesters were fierce and swift, including one incident where 2 National Guard trucks with machine guns blocked off the 2 ends of the street and allowed armed vigilantes to come in and destroy one of the union's headquarters. There's no neat little bow to tie up this story. The workers won a lot of their demands, but not all. Strikes and violence would continue for the next few years. Including the 2 men I mentioned before, a total of 9 people were killed over the course of these strikes. Out of the strike, the workers formed the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, which is active to this day, including unionizing the iconic Angerstein Brewery. Most recently, on Juneteenth, the union shut down ports across the West Coast in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. As we've seen in the Black Lives Matter protests, the problem of police and National Guard violence against protesters is still very much with us 90 years later. When we ask whose stories are being told by our monuments, and we see a bunch of statues of powerful men, we know the answer. But those stories are not my stories. My stories are right here, written in the pavement of this street. This sculpture is about more than just one powerful man. It reminds us of a collective struggle that continues in the warehouses of Amazon, the factories of Tesla, and with teachers across the United States. 2 men died on Bloody Thursday, but their struggle lives on with all of us who are workers. Thank you for watching.